Welcome back to the X Podcast. Here I am with Mr. Moore at the round table. Knights of the Round Table.
Knights of the Round Table. You keep getting around this way.
What are you talking about?
I feel like we're not. We need to be like this way because the cameras are going to be blocked.
Should we have more water bottles up here?
No, we're good.
Oh, we're good. Okay.
We're good.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was so good. We had the best meal. It was the best time.
Yeah. Well, what's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Oh. Let me just say this.
Whoa, this is deflection.
Well, I was going to say my favorite thing that my wife makes, it's actually the hit at all of them, is the yams.
Okay.
You know where you get the yams where you put marshmallow, you put brown sugar, butter, you bake them in the oven, and you put marshmallows on the top, and they melt all over top. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so. Isn't there
they're like potatoes, like sweet potatoes that they call yams.
What's there between yams and sweet potatoes?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that the can is yams, and they're like cut with no skin. They're just like chunks of I think it's sweet potato. I don't know. Maybe someone tell us. But anyways, that's number one. That's the number one dish. Everybody loves it.
Okay.
It's like a sweet thing, and then her green beans are really good.
Yep. Well,
okay,
in all transparency, we have obviously recorded this before Thanksgiving, actually a week and a half before Thanksgiving, but
we're wearing the same thing as our previous episode because we knew Thanksgiving was coming and we needed to record something in advance.
That's right. Well, and I felt in my spirit that we were, throwback to last podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you're watching this, hope you had an amazing Thanksgiving. And it led me to a question I wanted to ask you. What is it you're most thankful for about me?
Well, probably the opportunity I get to do this with you on a weekly basis.
Good. That was so kind.
That's what I am so thankful for you.
You know what?
Your humor, you're funny. You lie, but you're funny when you do it.
You sound like the same compliment/insults.
I've got a little joke around the office. How do you know when Russ is lying?
Yeah.
His lips are moving.
Yeah, we should have the host say that before I preach on a Sunday.
But he doesn't lie intentionally to lie. It's his way of injecting comedy into a moment. And there'll always be a pause. So if you're ever with Russ and, you're talking about something and you'll see this look come over his face. And
wait, what's the look?
The look will go, hold on, let me see if I can do it.
Oh, here we go.
The look will be, you'll see, it'll get real serious. It'll get real serious.
Okay.
And you can tell where he focuses that the wheels are moving inside, that he's preparing for what he's going to say. And so you'll be talking about something. It could be important. It could not be important. It doesn't matter. And there'll be this little pause and the serious look, and then he'll just interject with saying something that is just absolutely absurd. But he'll say it with a straight face.
Wait, what would be an example?
It's so hard on the spot, but you do. I don't know. It happens in almost every meeting. There are men and with you, and I love it. And I've gotten so good at reading you that I know when it's coming. You'll just kind of pause for a moment. You're like, I don't know, whatever we could be talking about. We could be talking about, we could be talking about we got to cut something in the budget, and you'll pause for just a moment. You go, hey, do you think maybe we should just take 5 people out back and kill them? He'll say it with like a straight face, and he'll just and it'll be so absurd. And I can tell when you start into that. So that's probably what I'm most thankful about.
You know what? I've never received that, but thank you.
Anybody who knows you, who's listening to this, that's been around you in those environments, knows exactly what I'm saying.
I need to work on my poker face.
Yes. I mean, because you get serious, and it's a tell. There's a pause, and then you go right in, and it's dead serious. So the sentence will start off dead serious. You think he's going to say something could be helpful. And then it's not helpful at all. I mean,
but it helps your soul.
It does.
Helps your soul.
I love it. So yes, I am thankful. I think it's so funny. I feel like this is a little bit repetitive. I feel like we say this on our podcast, and we'll say it at church, and we probably say it a little bit too often. But I feel like we will, we're always like, hey, it's Thanksgiving. It's time to think of what you have to be grateful for. And but I am also grateful that we have this moment on the calendar that forces me to pause and be grateful.
Yeah.
Because I think gratitude is maybe one of the most important attributes that we can have in life. In fact, it is attached to joy. That they say people who are the most grateful tend to be the happiest in life.
Yep.
And so I think I'm so focused on life and what I'm doing that I stop I'm really grateful for my family. I'm grateful for, you know what I mean? There's so many things that I'm thankful for.
It's interesting. One of the books I've been reading, I'm almost done with it. I don't know if I told you, I've been reading The One Truth by John Gordon.
Okay.
And it's his new book. John Gordon, he's, just kind of a world-renowned speaker, author, sold some stupid, 20 million books. He's crazy. Speaks to the top, NFL teams and presidents and all this kind of stuff. Anyways, his new book is a lot of it is around low state of mind and high state of mind. It's really interesting. And he talks about, because, even this is the coaching he does with athletes, of getting them out of their heads, of athletes and different people in life that get in slumps and get stuck in their head and get in ruts. And how do you do that? And he really, plays out and shows in diagrams what does a low state of mind look like, high state of mind. And he has circles. A high state of mind actually has less in it. It's more clarity. It's more focus. It's more energy. It's more joy. Low state of mind, actually, he has all these dots in it. It's it's cluttered. It's a lot of thoughts. It's a lot of in your head. It's a lot of overthinking. It's a lot of negative emotion. And so anyways, it really breaks down. This is what he does for NFL teams but really for anybody in life, of how to go from low state of mind to high state of mind. And he has several different things. And one of those, the top things, is Thanksgiving. And he talks about the power of a thankful heart. And he makes the statement. He says it's impossible to be grateful and to be worried at the same time. Ooh. So one of his, and he's a person, actually interesting, he used to be a Buddhist and someone that we follow, McManus, led him to faith a long time ago. And so now he's a follower of Jesus. But one of the things he's done every single morning after his devotional time is he does a 5-minute gratitude walk every single morning. He does a walk and it's just all gratitude. And it literally sets his tone to have a high state of mind for the day.
That's good.
And I just thought that was so powerful. And it's really interesting. I'm rambling now, but he talks a lot about the power of when you have a high state of mind. One of the ways that you become powerful in life is when you start operating from the inside out instead of the outside in. And I didn't realize how much it got into me until a friend called me the other night. I was at North Star, and I have a friend. She's a kids director in Atlanta, and she's talking about when there's this certain person that she's always in the room with, she just gets in her head, and she needs to have a conversation, but she'll get nervous. And I've noticed over the last 2 months, anytime she says she's having a bad day, it comes back to this certain person maybe didn't give her the affirmation that she felt like she needed, or the encouragement, or this or that. And I guess I had this book in my head, and I said, you're going to be miserable as long as you keep living from the outside in. She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, in life, you can choose to live from the inside out or the outside in. Yeah. The outside in is where you need your circumstances, you need your surroundings, you need people's opinions, you need people's praise, you need people's encouragement. You are living, the outside is determining your inside. Yeah. And it's a fragile place to be. But the power is the day that you realize that you can choose to live from the inside out, where you actually internally decide who you are. Yeah. And your strength is from the inside. And you don't go into rooms or into life needing something from the outside. You bring your inside to it. And when you do that, you become resilient.
So how do you develop an inside-out life?
So, that's a whole other podcast.
No, it's not. It could be this one.
Well, I think for me, I think so. There's a lot to it, and I'm still working on it. But I think part of it, honestly, part of the trick is the awareness. Yeah. Part of the trick is the awareness. When you can realize in a moment, whoa, that person, I have thought so much about what that person's opinion is, what that person's thinking, and if you can say in a humble way with kind of a holy chip on your shoulder, it does not matter what they're doing. I don't need anything from that person. I know inside who I am. Yeah. And I think part of that awareness causes you to begin to speak to yourself and remind yourself who you are. This is who I am. You remind yourself of the ways God has come through for you. You remind yourself of the integrity you have in your life. You remind yourself of the person you are. That you remind yourself, I'm not perfect, and I'm still in a process of becoming.
Yeah.
But this is I know who I am, and I have everything I need inside of me because I am a human being made in the image of God, and because God lives inside of me, and because I have all of the promises and hope that comes in being a child of God. I have that inside of me. I don't have to walk in today's needing anything from my day. I don't have to walk in needing that person's approval, that person's opinion. I think half the battle, honestly, it sounds cliche, is awareness.
Okay.
Of I'm right now, the reason I feel so fragile, the reason I feel so insecure, the reason I feel so fearful, so anxious, is I'm living from the outside in. Everything I have and need, my identity is inside. My confidence is from the inside. My strength is from the inside. So I am choosing today to walk from that center.
Yeah. I love it.
I think that's part of the power. And then I think, some of the things he's laid out, just practically is practicing gratitude.
Yeah.
I mean, I can feel a shift
Yeah.
when I walk around my apartment and I do a gratitude walk. I can feel a shift when I move. I think sometimes one of the quickest ways to get out of your head is to get into action.
Yeah.
I had such a great week last week because not in a workaholic week, not in a workaholic way, but most of last week I worked on my book early in the morning. I felt super productive while I was at work during the day in ministry, and I was working on a side hustle at night. And I don't know. It mentally it did something because I'm I was on my phone less. I was checking social media less, and
you're being more productive.
I was being more productive. And so I think and when you're productive, you're moving yourself out of your head.
Yeah.
People like me, I tend to be more cerebral. I overthink things to death. I complicate. I can be in my head a lot. Yeah. Which can be good and bad.
Yep.
And so for me, I'm like, no, I need to get out of my head and into action.
Well, I think one of the things that is that I always kind of remember about gratitude is that gratitude can't live in your head. Gratitude has to be spoken.
Yes, good.
It doesn't have to be spoken to someone.
Yeah.
Like you can be grateful, take a gratitude walk, and you can, or it can be spoken to God.
Yeah. Like
you don't have to necessarily to another person, but gratitude can't live internally.
Yeah.
Like you can't just, I'm grateful. You don't you usually have to express it.
Yeah.
Is I guess what I'm saying.
That's good.
And so I think it is a powerful reality. I think I know there are moments, and I don't do it enough. But that's such a great practice if you can make that a regular rhythm of your day. That just I know a lot of times that's always my goal when I'm journaling or praying. It's like the first portion. I'm trying to take time to thank God for. What do I have that I can thank God for? And it's amazing how it seems to kind of just shift your spirit.
Yeah.
Even if you're, I always have told people this, if you don't know what to pray, and I think that's half the battle for people. It's like, okay, I'll make time to pray. I don't know what to pray. I tell people the first thing you do, just start thanking God for what it is that you're grateful for in your life. You'd be amazing how much you just flow.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
How you could just start thinking of the people in your life, thinking about the situation, thinking about your faith community, think about your job, think about your health, think about, all those things.
Yep.
It just starts to flow.
Yep. And it's crazy. It really is connected to joy. It really is connected to, and I've heard more in more spiritual terms. Like there's that famous quote by Lou Giglio. He says, your worry will be crippled by your worship, or your worship will be crippled by your worry. And that's true. And it's more in spiritual terms. But the way that John Gordon put it, I've never thought of it like that you can't be thankful and worried at the same time.
I think that's true. I was trying to think about that while you said that. I'm like, well, can you? No.
Yeah.
You can't have two thoughts that dwell in the front of your brain at the same time. Yep. Like there's only one thought. You might be ADD, not like I am, and you can go from one thought to the next thought, but you can't have both at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't say two things at the same time.
Yep.
Like you can only have one thought at at one time.
Yep.
And so what I think we do is sometimes we go, okay, I'm going to be grateful. I'm grateful. I worry now. I'm grateful. I worry. I'm grateful. I worry. Grateful. I worry. But it's a great example is a light, right? It's a great illustration. A light can only be on or off. It can never be in between. Did you know that?
It's true.
Like a dim light is not a light that's partially on. Did you know that? I don't know if you know how dimming works. Okay. So it's a great example, right? You go to a light switch and one that has a dimmer, you flip it on and it's on. If you have the dimmer switch all the way up, if you flip it off, the dimmer switch is all the way down. But when you say, well, there's a dimmer, it's in between, so I can lower the lights and I can increase the lights. You're not actually dimming light. You can't dim light. That's not a thing. It's not a reality. What it's doing is that it is actually flashing on and off so quickly that you can't tell.
Interesting.
And so what it is that when the light seems lower, it's the amount of cycles that it's dimming on and off so it'll be more time than it's off than it's on.
Never knew that.
But it's happening so quickly. But one way that you can tell, and you'll see this come to reality, is I remember when like LED bulbs were coming out. And if you were to buy LED bulbs for your house that aren't dimmable, and you have them on a dimmer switch, go and you have it full on, and you go turn down, and it'll start flashing. It just starts going flashing, because that's what lights. That's what those kind of lights that dim. They're either on or off.
Yeah.
You can't. It's like partial voltage to it, whatever. Like it's actually that's what I've always heard of dimming. Maybe they have different methods now, and maybe that, but usually it's just the amount of time it's on and off is, and it does it so quickly. But the amount of time, so if the lower it is, the light, the dim, the longer it's off, then it's on.
Did you ever hear the story of the first dimmer they ever created? There was a guy in China that created a dimmer, and the moment he pressed it on, it was like in this big conference room, a spark actually lit the entire room, burned down.
Are you serious?
No, I made that up.
I was
gonna see if you could tell.
I was waiting for you to just try to. That's
just. I thought I got you,
but I thought there's no way he's gonna do that right now on this podcast.
Okay,
well, I was wrong. There's an example. If you wanted an example, but
I wanted to contribute.
Yeah,
you know,
no, you did.
I wanted to add value.
So
to the conversation.
I think it's a.
So what was your point with that?
The point is that you can't worry and be grateful at the same time.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That was the point.
Yeah.
And so we can make that's that living probably from the inside out. Are you going to make a conscious choice of what's the message in your mind? What's the thing you're going to determine? What are your thoughts? I think Scripture says take every thought captive.
Yep.
Right? There's a level of, okay, I got to recognize that this is a lie. I've got to recognize that this is not true.
Yep.
And I also just think when it comes to gratitude, I think I guess I was trying to think, how do we more encapsulate all of life in it? And so you're talking about every part of your day or in your day. What does it look like to start your day off with gratitude, doing maybe a gratitude walk, maybe doing something like that will get your mind focused on what to be grateful for. It is really hard to complain while you also are grateful, And it doesn't mean that you can't have problems that aren't real problems that you need to pray about and ask God. But here's one of the things that I think is a key, and I think Scripture gives it to us in Philippians 4, right? That in all situations, first it says rejoice in all situations. Like, I don't know if I can rejoice in all situations, right? And then it literally says, by doing what? It says, don't be anxious. And this is what happens, right? You either worry or you're grateful. You either worry or you're thankful, right? Scripture says in Philippians 4, don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, present your requests to God, right? Remember how it says to do it? With supplication, present your request to God with thanksgiving.
Yep.
So you can have a worry, a stressor, or something in your life that you would be anxious about. But is there a way to wrap that request in thanksgiving that changes your mind? Because I love the next verse, right? It says, and the peace of God that surpasses all human understanding will guard your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. And so I think that the lesson in that is like anxiety what comes in, and you have worry and anxiety comes in when you don't wrap your requests in thanksgiving, because you can't do both. And so it's like, and it's hard to do that. It's hard to like, and I'm not saying, okay, so in your time with God and you're praying, say, God, I'm just so thankful for this problem I'm having. I'm just so thankful for the medical problem that I'm going through. That's not what I'm saying. I think what he's saying is that frame your mind in a way that I'm going to present my request to God, but I'm also going to be really thankful.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
God, I give you this problem. Like, I'm battling with this, but I am thankful that, God, you care about this situation. I'm thankful that you know this situation. God, I'm thankful that I still have breath in my lungs.
Yep.
I'm thankful that, it's like when you wrap your concern and your prayer in that with God, it changes your mindset.
And I think practically another way to do that is one practical way is to begin with Thanksgiving. The scripture says, "Enter his courts with Thanksgiving." Psalm 101, the Message paraphrase says, "Enter his presence with the password." Thank you. Yeah,
I love that one.
And another way too is when you talk about this, may be a little bit of kind of what Dr. West hit when he came in the summer, but when you do talk about your problem, I think finding a way to pray and be honest about what hurts, specific about what you're asking God to do, but then also like finding a way to thank God that he's going to see you through it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know how exactly it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Like, God, thank you that thank you that you're with me in this. Thank you that I'm not alone in this. And thank you, God, that you have something amazing planned on the other side of this. Thank you that you're going to use this.
Yeah.
Thank you that, I think finding a way, like, even to infuse in that, like, and again, that's not to minimize, if there's the death of an immediate loved one yesterday, look, raw, honest prayers of grief or something God invites us into. But I just think in general, I think the more we can infuse Thanksgiving, I think the more it reframes our problems. I think the more perspective it brings and the more joy and peace it brings.
Yeah, and I think the point of just like what we wanted to say on this episode, just as it's Thanksgiving week, is how do we, if this is so valuable, which it really is, then how do we make this more of a regular practice of life and not just a once a year, tradition? Like,
well, because you brought up the irony that.
The irony of the day that follows Thanksgiving, right? The day we're supposed to be the most thankful for all that we have is followed up by one of the greediest days, shopping days of the year, Black Friday, where we just people lose their minds and they go insane, they go crazy, right? And so I think it's like, how do I live with this kind of posture every day? And we say it all the time. I think it's really hard to live in practice. Yeah. Like the reason why we brought this up again and we talk about it, and you got people like John Gordon talking about how much that changes his life. Yeah. I think it matters. And so I think, like you said, I think if you can begin your day or begin your prayer, if you have a time of prayer, and you don't know what to pray, start with Thanksgiving. I mean, even Jesus, when he taught his disciples how to pray, what did he say? Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Like, there's just a moment of just thanksgiving and gratitude and recognition and praise, right? Maybe they go together, right? And there's, of course, with Thanksgiving, there's gates with praise. So they go together. So I think you can begin your day. I think you can begin your prayer that way. I think you can just infuse that kind of language in your requests to God. I think that's just a great way of doing it. I think some practical just ways that you can let's be better at saying thank you to people, just in regular. Like my wife is really good at this. She's just, I don't know where she picked it up from. She could probably tell you where she got it from, because I think it's a way that she does of kind of honoring me, even though we both work. And we both contribute to the household and to the income. And we both, she works her butt off in all different kind of arenas, whether it's a job type stuff or at home or whatever. She's one of the hardest workers I know. She works circles around me. Yeah. And, we'll go out to eat or go do something, and she'll almost always go, hey, thank you for taking me out to eat.
I love that.
She does that almost every time. Hey, thank you for taking me out. And it's like, and in the back of my mind, I'm like, you're welcome. You don't need to thank me. It's like, we use our money. We both work. We both do this. But it's just a posture that she's like taken all the time for such that she'll do it. And
that's
it's
awesome.
and
that's
it's
rare.
It is rare. And so I'm thinking, how many times do I get up from eating a meal and not say, hey, thank you for making that?
Yeah.
right? Like at home. I try to, but I think there's just some simple ways. Like, for example, when you go out to eat and you have a waiter or waitress takes care of you, you can think that, hey, part of this transaction is that I'm going to give you, if you're good, 20% over my bill. Mm-hmm. But there's still a level of maybe looking at the person, hey, thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes the words thank you. I mean, it's nice. I'm sure they appreciate the tip. Don't be one of those people that say, hey, thank you, and that's your tip, and then don't actually give them a financial tip. Give them a tip. It's part of their income and what they're, if you're, but do we say thank you? Do you get your drink from the barista and they go, hey, here's your drink? And I think most of us maybe do naturally. You say, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Like just the words, the simple words of saying thank you to people when they do something small, little.
It's so
they
big.
just act like it actually is probably bigger than we think.
I think it's so big.
And I think it'd probably be a really good practice to start doing. So that's the challenge maybe for us. Like you go out to eat this weekend, you go out around, you got somebody that just takes care of you and you're checking out a register. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is a good one too is I think all of us in our jobs, we can take for granted the functions that we do for each other. What if in your job, just from time to time, like text an employee afterwards, hey, thank you for doing that. It may have been part of their job to do it.
Right.
But taking that moment and say, hey, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
We talk about that. Like one of the things I think is just the secret sauce of our church is what we call our servant leaders.
Yeah.
But it's just I think gratitude helps you not take for granted what can be so easy to take for granted.
Yeah.
And I think part of it I mentioned it last podcast, but going back to like even just really trying to practice, it sounds so simple EQ practices.
Yeah.
I think the more you slow down and see people and are aware that people are people.
Yeah.
And even aware, like you gave an incredible talk Sunday about the dash, what we're going to do with the dash, like how short and fleeting life is. I think the more you can get an awareness of how short and precious life is, how much the people around you aren't just passing, blurring objects, but people that are going through real things, have real things. I think the more you can do that, the more empathy and gratitude will sneak in. It's like, I don't want to take for granted these people that are the people in my life, and even just the stranger walking down, that's in the restaurant. They're like, who knows what they're going through?
Yeah.
Who knows how many days they have left on earth?
Yeah.
And it makes you want to, I think, one of the things that we say around here, generosity is our privilege. Mm-hmm. And, Scripture says that generosity makes your life bigger. But I think gratitude is a form of generosity.
Yeah.
I think gratitude is actually something that makes your life bigger. I actually think when you do the small things you're talking about and you say thank you more and you express gratitude, that doesn't just impact others. I actually think it widens your heart. I actually think it enlarges your life.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful sentiment that it makes your life bigger. I know I love that verse, right? The world of the generous get bigger and bigger, or the life of the generous get bigger and bigger. And there is something to that. I think it's just a great reminder for us. Like that, I think all we wanted to really do was just hop on here and say, hey, I think we can take a moment and say thank you for all of you who listen and watch and engage with us. I mean, we'll have these conversations if no one does, and we'll still have fun.
Yep.
Because you and I love to talk about life. We love to think critically about topics and issues, and we love to address people's questions and comments. And so, but there are people, I just want to say, there are people that will come up to us almost every Sunday, and they're like, hey, the podcast this week did this. And so I just want to say thank you. I think we should take a moment and say thank you to all of those who listen and you watch and you engage, and we hope that it's helpful. We aren't naive to think, or narcissistic to think we have something so great to offer, but we know that we're in a position that God's given us, and a position that He's called us into. That if we can leverage our lives and our study and whatever to help people in the way we think and go through life, then we want to. And so that's what we do. And so I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the podcast. I'm thankful for our church, our community, our family that we have. Yeah. It's just a beautiful thing. I just really enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy life. And so I think it's a great reminder. Probably by the time people listen to this, it will come out possibly on Black Friday, where you have forgotten everything you're thankful for. You forgot everything that you own.
Yeah.
And you'll be out of the stores buying stuff.
Yeah. And I would just say this, like you said, we're so thankful for you. And, if you are listening to this while you're out on Black Friday and you're thankful for us, just remember, I wear a size 9. You wear
there it is.
You wear
You guys see what I mean? That's exactly it.
What?
That's it. Do you see how it just he'll just go in and he'll say something like it's going to be serious, and then it's not. But I wear size 11. And so we do like shoes. I would say that is, if you're that grateful, then you want to bless us with something you can. That's so cheap. Why would we do that?
I'm just kidding. No, what you said, well said. Can't believe we get to live this life.
Yeah.
It's so, it's amazing. I love this church, love our community of faith. Grateful for you, grateful for everybody listening. And grateful for these conversations. And like you said, we would have these yesterday we looked down as an hour past time to leave.
Yeah.
The office.
We're like, we got to go. We're still talking. Talk more AI.
End
of the world. It's fun. We talk about the
craziest things.
Yeah. We're going to talk about them this next year. It'll be fun.
We're going to have some fun conversations 2024.
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. And we hope that Thanksgiving was amazing. Hope the weekend continues to be great for you wherever you're tuning in from. And quickly heading into Christmas season. It's an amazing time of year, and hopefully it's treating you well. We will see you.
Hey, wait. One last thing. We're thankful for Lydia. Lydia comes. A lot of people don't know this, but Lydia, she sits in a room. She runs the switcher. She flips the cameras. She gets the space ready. She dials them in. If they're ever out of focus, it's Lydia's fault.
Yes.
She edits them. Not a lot to do, but hopefully with editing, hopefully we don't cause too much trouble with editing. But she puts the intros and she posts the things, and so
she does. And we've still not gotten a mic back there, but I don't know if you saw this, but while you were on sabbatical, we've talked about it for 2 years now. We finally got her to get behind the camera and get in front of the camera.
Yeah,
and she was on some podcasts with us.
Yeah, so we're thankful for you, Lydia. Just wanted to say that before we leave.
Yep, we love you. It was her birthday last week.
Yes, it was.
Yep. So
and Hannah's.
What size do you wear? Well,
what size shoes
we'll find out what size they wear if you want to send them shoes.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see you next week. Bye.